Ohio and welcome back, and today I have a very special review for you because it is also a surprise for me. This is the MegaHouse Desktop Army Volume 23. Now, I've been interested in these for a while. I like cute little gashapon and small collectible things. However, usually on the secondary market, on eBay and whatnot, they tend to go for way too much money for the size that they appear to be. They're blind box, which also sort of adds to the trouble of collecting because blind boxing can get quite expensive. So in this series, it seems there's 4 different possibilities. There's actually 2 different characters, but you have alternate white and black versions. Of course, everything up here in Japanese, some graphics on the side, the figures on the top, a little bit of information. I got these from Anime Egg Roll in St. Louis. Of course, this is still not cheap. And the reason I opted for this one, they had this one and the new Evangelion set. Not the full mech version, but just the basic Evangelion set. And that's where I discovered they were blind box. And since there was only one I wanted from that set, I figure I would try this set first since I would be happy with probably any of these figures based off of the pictures on the top. So let's go ahead and get this open and see if it's worthy of our collection. So like I said, these are blind box. So let's see what all we get in that box. Looks like we have a set of instructions, some clear pieces, I'm assuming, which is sort of a base, sprues for model kits. Now it appears I did get the black version, just going off of the initial colors that popped out here. More sprues and more pieces as well as the character. So we have the character here, and this is looking to be this one. And honestly, I would have preferred the this variant. I like the white and red. I actually have the model kit of the larger version of this, and it would have been cool to have this, but any of them are cool. So as far as the figure goes, let's go and get it out of the packaging. So the figure is small, and we have some articulation here. Seems we have some movement at the shoulder, rotation at the bicep, as well as bending at the bicep. Looks like the hands are fixed. We have a little bit of movement in the midsection. Head on a ball joint, can look around. Hips look like it's a double ball joint, so it's a ball joint on the end of a peg. And that allows it to move out and sort of capture all those movements and still be somewhat bulky. Then we have a bend at the knee and nothing at the ankle. So this is not super articulated, but it does seem like a decent sculpt. The face is nicely Tampo printed on there. It is not a sloppy job, but the rest of it does seem to be mostly molded plastic with a little bit of painted accents here and there. We've got little ports all over it, but it seems pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble everything and see how the rest actually holds up. And so we have this character fully assembled, and I am going to give my most honest review on these. Assembly is a little bit more difficult than I had expected, and the part that is the most tedious is the ball joint you have to insert into this hair piece. The trick I found that works is by holding the shaft of the ball joint with a pair of pliers, resting the hair on a flat surface, and pressing downward into it as firmly but yet gently as you can to not damage a part. That led to a few scrapes trying to do it by hand before then, but that's just a fair warning. The other thing I would like to point out is when I see these being called Desktop Army, the way I sort of imagine them is something you would fiddle with on your desk. They are a little bit more delicate than that. It's not that the figure is fragile, it's that pieces can easily be knocked off. So as you're messing around, like say for example, the ball joint for these little scarf pieces really doesn't have a whole lot of range of movement. So if you move at all, they pop off. Weapons can fall out. These swords here that are in the sheaths, I had to actually flip versus what was suggested in the instructions for them just to not fall out at all. For whatever reason, being in the opposite is more secure. But overall, it is a decent looking figure. And one thing I appreciate, so they've designed these really tiny feet, but you have these clear pieces that actually act as heels for when you're not using an action-based mode. And so you have this little action base here. And we still actually have some pieces here where we could probably mess with different configurations. But you just load it in the back, and then you have a character that is being posed a little bit more dynamically. I'd say the weight is a little bit much for the stand, so you'd probably have to go with a little bit more of a vertical configuration on it, not something that is leaning forward like you can do with a Figma stand. So that's just another thing to note. I'm not disappointed, I would say, and so I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed because I think this is still pretty neat. But I think for some of the prices I see these go for, like there's this really cool looking or upper tier one that goes for well over $100. I just can't see something of this size and it's sort of this fiddly to be that expensive. I think the price of $25 or so where the retail is, or even if you can get it less, is a bit more justifiable as far as where this goes. See, piece just goes flying off. Now, this is my first experience with these, and so this is all a surprise. I can't say if this is the case for all of the line, but I can say for this particular one, this is the case. Something else I'd like to point out, this bird character here, and it's not very clear in the instructions, but what I was able to sort of guess from the instructions is you actually have to have both of these characters to complete the bird mode, which will also allow you the alternate armor so that you could do the secondary mode. So you've got this primary mode here, which is what we've mimicked for the most part. Then you have this mode here. So we do have this sword, which is actually pretty cool. It's made for 2 different blades. And then we have pieces of this. We don't have these 2 long pieces that come from this, and we don't have all of the shield. So that's the one sort of issue. You would have to really collect the whole series to get the full benefit out of them. But there's still enough pieces here. So we have this extra sword. We have what could possibly be some sort of throwing star weapon. We have this thing here. And then we have these alternate hair pieces, which I actually think I prefer to the hair pieces that are in there. I think these sort of mechanical bunny ear pieces that you can kind of see up here is kind of cooler than the hair, as the hair, I don't know. It's okay, but I just don't see the point of it. Another thing to mention, so we've got a couple more pieces here, which I didn't see in the instructions, but I'm going to use them with this piece that would have been used as the backpack or wings before, and see if I can make sort of, my own type of wing with it. Then lastly, we have joints, which I actually appreciate. What they considered was, okay, this figure is very chunky in a lot of respects. There's a lot of bulky pieces, and so it's actually really hard to pose. If you want to get more dynamic poses, you can pop out the ball joints and switch with other ones that are a little bit more versatile. So that would allow you to have a little bit more range as far as posing. So even though you have all this movement in the character, you don't have this huge range of posability, and this is the workaround for it. But let's go ahead and sort of get a full 360 view of this. I do think it's neat. It's something I may get another couple or whatever if the price is right. I do not think I will pursue any of the ones that are high dollar. But it is kind of something fun and go on the shelf. And it would actually fit in with a lot of my video game gashapon. This sort of follows that same aesthetic, the slightly shortened chibi look, which is not full super deformed, but is still, characterized enough to where it's interesting. So like I said, as far as this figure goes, this is a at retail price or below suggestion for me. If it's higher than that, unless you're really into the line and you need to complete it all, I would say hold off. So in the comments below, let us know if you collect this line or any similar line. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.